Kia ora, Year 9. I decided to make you a video to go with the Dr. Frost worksheet I've set you for Friday. This is partly because heaps of people were away today, but it's also because being able to factorise is a really, really crucial skill. So what I've done here is I've just grabbed the 10 questions that I set you from Dr. Frost. Now they start off at pretty low unistructural level, so the absolute minimum level that we're looking for from most of our Year 9s, and they go up to relational level, so they do get harder. But the principle with factorising is the same, no matter how yucky and hard it gets. We're looking for the highest common factor between the terms. So let's start off with question 1, where I've got 35 plus 5f. Now, what I'm interested in is how I can split up 35 into the product of two numbers and split up 5f into the product of two numbers. And I'm looking for the highest common factor. So 35 is equal to 7 times 5, and 5f is equal to f times 5. So the highest common factor here is 5. Instead of writing 35 plus 5f, we can write 5 lots of 7 plus f. So let's see why this is working. This is basically the reverse of the expanding that we did in the last class. So this whole thing means 5 times all of this. 5 times 7 plus f. So that's the same as 5 times 7, which gets me back to the 35, plus 5 times f, which gets me back to this. So if you go and look on Google Classroom, I've done an even slower video than this one on factorising, where I just do a couple of examples like this. So let's check our answer by expanding it and seeing what we get. Well, when we expand this, we get 5 sevens, 35, plus 5 lots of f. All right, so that's the first one done. I'd like you to pause the video here and just try to do the 10 questions in your book. When it gets really difficult, just pause the video and go through it to that point. Okay, question 2. 24y plus 18. The highest common factor of 24 and 18 is 6. So to factorise it, I'm going to have 6 times. Now I ask, 6 watts will get me back to 24. 6 fours, and I need to end up with 24y. So far, I've got 6 times 4 is 24, so I need to times by y. Next, I do the same thing with the 18. 6 watts will give me 18, 6 threes. Okay, in the next one, I'm introducing a negative sign, just to show you that there's nothing to freak out about. Remember that when we had 2 bracket x minus 4, and we wanted to expand that, we had 2 x's, so 2 times x, and then we had take away 2 4s. So the same thing is going to work when I'm going backwards with factorising. So 15z take away 20, we ask ourselves for the highest common factor of 15 and 20. And that highest common factor is 5. So we write down the 5. Now 5 watts are 15, 5 threes are 15, and we have to times by z to match up with 15z. So 5 times 3z, take away, 5 watts are 20, 5 fours are 20. So that's that one done. So that was question number 3. Okay, we've got a couple more easies. I'm going to do those really quickly, and then we're going to get to some where we have to think about algebraic terms as well. So once we get down to here, we'll be up to what I'd call the core questions, which are kind of relational thinking. Where was I? Not enough maths, too much talk. Okay, 32x plus 24. So the question we always ask ourselves is, what is the highest common factor? First, we look at the numbers. The highest common factor is 8. 8 fours will give me 32, and I have to times by x to get 32x. 8 watts give me 24, 8 threes. Next one, easier. 8z plus 4. What is the highest common factor of 4 and 8? It's just 4. So we have 4 times 2z. And now we ask 4 watts give me 4. It's going to be plus 1. Now watch out for that pattern. because that can be one that trips people up when they first start doing this. I'll just try another one like that. Suppose I've got 5 plus 10z. The highest common factor is 5, and then I ask 5 what's a 5? 5 ones are 5. 5 what's a 10? 5 times 2z. Okay, so let's get into these harder ones now. 19a minus 19a squared. Whoops, that's not right. So 19a minus 19a squared. Well, first we say, what's the highest common factor if I just look at those numbers? And it's going to be 19, right? So we have 19 here. But now we look at the next bit and we say, well, what about the a? I've got a here, and I've got a times a here. You can think of this as a times 1. That means that I've got a highest common factor in the a stuff now as well. And that highest common factor is going to be a. So we're going to put that a here, timesing by the 19. Now 19a times what is going to get me that term? Well, it's just 19a times 1, right? Take away 19a times what will get me a squared. I need to times in another a. So that's my final answer for that one there. I'm just going to erase some of this so it's not so messy. So this would be a good example to make sure you've got down in your book. So the method we're going to use now is, instead of just looking at the highest common factor in my numbers, I'm going to start looking at the highest common factor in the numbers, and then I'm going to look at the highest common factor in the letters. And I can extend that idea to have more than just one variable, but I'm not doing that in today's video. So 10p plus 18p squared. Let's do that one. 10p plus 18p squared. Highest common factor in the numbers will be 2. Now I've got p here and p squared, which is p times p. So I have a highest common factor in the variable p is just p. 2p times what will get me 10p? It'll be times 5. Plus 2p times what will get me back to 18p squared. Well, for the numbers, I have to times by 9. Now I need to times in another p. So that's my final answer for that one. Okay, I think I've got 3 left. Oh no, 2 left. I'll use some of the space. So 6p squared plus 15p. So just before I do it, think about the 2 steps I'm going to use to do this. The first thing I'm going to do is look at my numbers and look for what I call the numeric common factor. So I want the highest common factor out of 6 and 15, and it's going to be 3. Next, I look at the p squared and the p. The highest common factor here is simply p. So we're ready to start working out what's in here in the brackets. So it's going to be 3p times 2p plus 3p here times 5. That's my final answer there. Lastly, another one with a subtraction sign, 6a minus 8a squared. Look at your numbers first. The highest common factor is 2. Now we look at the variable a. We've got a and we've got a squared. Highest common factor is just a. We're going to have 3 minus 4a. So there you go. That gets us from really, really easy factorising all the way up to reasonably complex ones. I'm going to do a couple more videos on factorising because we can take this skill quite far with what we've learned so far in Year 9. So the next video is going to have ones that look like this. Right, so we're going to have numbers and we're going to have several variables. Thanks for watching. Please leave any comments or questions or send me an email.